Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you're at. Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, The Power of Simplicity: Getting Customers to Visit and Buy. My name is Jeff Spencer, and I'm the Director of Operations at the Home Furnishings Association, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few of the basics for today's session. This session will be recorded, and all attendees will receive a follow-up email by this time tomorrow on how to access the recording. As you heard when you joined, you are in listen-only mode. This means that all attendees except for myself and our speaker are muted. Although we can't hear you, we do encourage that you ask questions through the presentation using the chat box you see in your webinar control panel. This control panel usually pops up on the right-hand side of your screen when you join. Only the organizers can see your questions, so I'll be monitoring them throughout the webinar process. And our speaker will address all questions at the end of the presentation. It is our pleasure to have Erica Sparrow. Erica is the VP of Sales for Imagine Advertising. She has worked in the furniture, flooring, mattress, and RTO industry for over 18 years. Erica has a passion for this industry, having worked with thousands of retailers and hundreds of brands, helping them with their marketing and advertising strategies to increase sales velocity. From a one-store operation to a large regional with hundreds of stores, Erica has been successful in helping them manage their marketing strategies through integrated web and omni-channel marketing with traditional media. Erica, are you ready to get started?
I am ready to get started.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to you.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate the introduction and I appreciate everyone's time today. I know everyone's very busy, and appreciate you taking the time to sit in on the webinar. The WHFA does a fantastic job in coordinating these presentations to really help you in all aspects of your business. So let's get started. The power of simplicity: getting the consumer to visit and buy. Really what this is going to be about is a conversation about focusing on what works in the home furnishings and retail industry. So before I get started, I know Jeff had a chance to tell you a little bit about me. As he said, my name's Erica Sparrow. I work for Imagine Advertising. We're a full-service ad agency located in Atlanta, but I work out of my home office in Spokane, Washington. So we have both a West Coast and an East Coast presence. We've been in the industry a long time, so we really understand the needs and the changing environment. And really that's what this is all about. That's part of what the presentation, we talk about simplicity. Advertising and marketing can be extremely overwhelming. The new word out there, the buzzword, is omni-channel marketing. What does that mean? How do we look at digital, social, and traditional? And how do you utilize those tools in your market to understand how you need to target your customers? So because it can be so complicated, the goal today is to hit on a variety of these different mediums, talk about the impact that they can have on your store and the customer, what the shopping experience is like for the customer, and really how we get them to come into the store, come to your website, and make a purchase. Marketing and advertising back in the day used to look like this. We started out with awareness, and that was where we would get in front of that consumer with a circular, maybe a TV commercial or a radio commercial. Familiarity of the product, the brand, your store, consideration about what they were going to do. Then they'd make that purchase, and then they were loyal. Now we're looking at this: awareness, consideration, purchase, retention, advocacy. We're looking at a lot more things: online advertising, what's pay-per-click, social advertising, reviews, blogs. How do you do a blog and when do you do it? Direct mail. What's the store experience like? How do we look at your website and the shopping experience from the consumer from start to finish in their purchase process? Community forum. What are you doing in your local community and getting involved? Social networking, newsletters, and much, much more. So it's really gotten more and more complicated. So where do you start? So let's talk about digital marketing for a minute. I want to start with pay-per-click. So typically what I do in a presentation is I like to get interactive. So I definitely want you guys to start thinking about questions as I go through this presentation. And as Jeff said, off to the right-hand side of your screen with your navigation bar, you can ask questions that we'll address at the end of the session. So I want you to start thinking about, with the advertising that you're doing, you personally, is what's working. So when I sit down and talk with retailers across the country and they say, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm getting involved in this in my community and I've got a great website, my first question to them on all these marketing opportunities is what's working and how do you know if it's working? So you really have an opportunity now with all the digital and social and traditional advertising, with your website, with pay-per-click. You have an opportunity to actually get really amazing data. And this data should be helping you in making the decision about how you spend your money on your marketing. Pay-per-click. The idea of pay-per-click is, how are you driving customers to your website based on specific AdWords or specific words specific to your market or specific furniture. So if we think about, we just came off President's Day. President's Day is a great chance to really market and advertise for mattresses. It seems to be a really strong mattress event. So were you changing out your AdWords and the keywords when you were actually targeting customers to come to your website for President's Day? Are you thinking about March Madness and how the customer gets their home ready with a home entertainment and sectionals and reclining furniture to get the home ready for March Madness? Think about Father's Day, Mother's Day, and how are you changing out your social strategy and your digital strategy when it comes to pay-per-click to make sure that you're thinking about what you need to change so you know if it's working and you're driving customers to your website. What is pay-per-click, or better yet, what is so-called conversion? When we think about conversion, we talking about eyeballs on it? Are we talking about visitors, or should we be talking about sales? We really want to think about, what are you doing with your pay-per-click strategy and your budget of your strategy to drive the customer from a search to your website to making a purchase on your website, or if your strategy is brick and mortar, is actually coming into the store. Facebook. Facebook is very interesting, and it's always evolving and changing, and it's a very interesting way to be in front of your customer. And what you have to think about with Facebook is, it's really the social conversation that you're having. What's new? What's current? What's relevant? What are you doing? You just came off a furniture market that you were in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. You could have had a lot of fun with social media and with Facebook. Maybe cats away, mice will play. Your store managers are at the store coming up with promotions while you're out buying new furniture to get the consumer excited. Or better yet, you're in all these beautiful showrooms at market, and you've got a cell phone. You could take videos of product that you're buying and bringing into the store to get the consumer excited about what's coming. This social conversation has to stay current. There's nothing more frustrating as a consumer, and I do this for a living, but I will admit I have a black belt in shopping, so I love to do this. I love to look at ads. I love to know what's current. I love to know what's going on. I don't want to be left out. But when someone tells me Facebook is important, and they show me an ad, or they give me a Facebook icon on their website to go to their website and look at their Facebook page, and I get there and they have it posted since 2015, guess what? I'm a little frustrated. It's a little irrelevant. I'm irritated. If you make social media part of your strategy with your advertising, which it should be, you have to think about, how often are you out there? There's something called posting, which is just what you put on your wall. This is just the information about what's going on in the store. And then if you think about how you want to boost or advertise, this is where you can actually go out and be very specific about who you're targeting, what customers you're trying to drive back to your Facebook page, and ultimately make a purchase, because that's really what we want them to do, is see how beautiful your store is, learn about the event or specials that you have going on. Maybe it's new product that you're bringing in, but again, ultimately getting them to make a purchase. And so you want to think about how you're targeting. And there's so many opportunities within the targeting strategy of what Facebook has created to allow you to be very specific about who you target, so that you can track this information with the ads that you're actually posting or boosting. Birds of a feather flock together. If I'm a customer of yours and I'm coming into your Facebook page and you're targeting me, more likely than not, my friends are going to be people that you want to target as well. So you need to understand who your customer is. And again, with Facebook evolving and changing all the time, you want to make sure you're out in front of it. Do you have in your store a sign on the front door that says, like us on Facebook for extra specials? Or maybe you run specific promotions on Facebook. Do you have your Facebook icon on your website? Do you have it on your business card? Again, everything that you do, the customer needs to know that you're going to be very social and interactive with them on Facebook. So it gives you a chance, again, to really target the right people that are coming into your store, that are going to your website, and that are going to your Facebook page. We talk about YouTuber videos. These are huge. This is really an opportunity, especially on your website and Facebook page, to create an ad. The problem with the ads is you have me for about 12 seconds. After 12 seconds, I kind of tuned out. I kind of moved on. I really want to think about, you got to think about when you're putting this ad together, what information is actually on that video or commercial to get me interested, again, to make a click through to either go to your website, click back to your Facebook page. I want to look at the product. I want to see what's going on. But ads are a way with YouTube is a great way to get customers to stay on your website longer. It's a good way to showcase information about what's going on in your store. I mentioned earlier the cell phones. We've all have the technology and ability right at our fingertips to be taking videos of what we're doing, either in the store with a special or at a market when you're coming back, and you can post these videos on your website or Facebook page very easily, and I absolutely recommend that you do it. It's a good way to engage the customer. I like when I go to a website, say if I haven't been in the store, maybe it's just a quick tour of your store, or you've got a special going on with recliners this weekend, and so you show the recliner section to show me the depth of your store. It's a great way to showcase what's going on, what you're doing, and get the customer engaged so that it's like, this looks like a store where I would want to shop. I want to come into that store. And again, with the use of your iPhone or cell phone, it's very easy to create those videos. Have you ever heard or used any type of ghostry or ad blocker? I want to plant the seed here for a second. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to go into a little more detail in the next coming slides to talk a little bit about blocking and what customers can do when it comes to advertising digitally. What's really critical when it comes to digital advertising is you have to do your due diligence. You really have to think about, where are you digitally and socially? What are you doing online that you're driving your customers there, and how is it working? So you need to do your research to know how you're targeting customers. So again, you're targeting the right customer. Nobody wants to be targeted for something that they're not interested in. So when we think about targeting, think about the last time you searched for something. I was looking for a pair of running shoes. So I searched for running shoes, and next thing I know, every time I turned around, I was getting a pop-up ad. I was getting ads on Facebook. I was on my phone, and ads would pop up digitally on my cell phone. And so there's nothing wrong with that, because as a consumer, it's like, oh, maybe there's other options as to where I could buy these running shoes. So stores are targeting me based on these keywords and digitally searching for me, because they know I'm out, I'm ready to buy, I'm interested in the product. But you got to be careful how often, how much information, and making sure that you're targeting the right customer as well. Research. So we talk about some of these ads. We talk about online pop-up ads, mobile phone ads, online video advertising, or if you think about the last time you were watching a video online, and then halfway through that video, then a commercial pops up. Would love to watch those cat videos. I'm sure there's a couple of you snickering right now, probably do the same thing. You see those animal videos online, you get halfway through it, and oh, now there's a commercial. A lot of times I'll actually click off and go somewhere else. You've got to think about where you're advertising and where this content is. TV ads, text messaging. 91% of respondents agree that there are more intrusive ads today compared to 2 or 3 years ago. They're everywhere. But at the same time, the consumer wants to be informed. I don't want to miss out. I don't want to be the only consumer at a store or making a purchase online that doesn't have a coupon or a special or an offer. And typically, before I go to shop for something, I'm looking online to see what the special or offer is. And we're going to talk about websites and that shopping experience here in a few minutes. So it's not a bad thing, but you need to be aware of it. So you need to be aware of the vehicles that you're using and the companies and agencies that you're using to go out and help you with this digital service, to make sure that you're asking the right questions about how it's performing and if it's working. Because if it's not working and you're spending money on something with these digital display ads, then you want to think about how you refocus your advertising dollars. Everything's about mobile, right? Yeah, mobile's important. So you've got to think about with your phone, why is it so important to have the information that you need on your phone? Why is it important to be tracking your customer on your phone? But you got to be careful how you do it, and again, how often. So this little display, basically, as we look at every age group, the idea is, would you choose, if you had the choice, would you block ads? And 80% kind of across the board, 80+% would actually block ads. My phone is my private space, but at the same time, it's also where I shop. It's also how I get information. It's also how I communicate with my friends. And so if I'm shopping for something and want information, it's a great way for you as a business to be reaching out to me. And again, very, very specifically targeting me for the things that I'm shopping for or looking for. So again, most widely disliked ads are the pop-up. But again, if you're doing it right and how you're doing it with the content and information, ads on your phone, YouTube. So again, a lot of different options, but what we really want to focus here is on the ones that are working and what work best for you. And what works in one market might not work in another market. We're going to talk about the consumer and looking at that customer here a little bit later in the presentation and how you want to target those customers specifically. So I mentioned a little bit earlier about blockers. And blocker, what that really comes down to is the consumer today has the opportunity to actually block. And we talked about Facebook and how Facebook is making changes in what they do and how they allow for advertising and communication between a business and a consumer. So what this screen shows you is that there's actually a place when an ad pops up on my Facebook page, and it gives me an opportunity to maybe hide it, not follow it. I can get rid of it so it's not something I want to see. But at the same time, birds of a feather flock together. Guess what? If my best friend Jody likes it, I probably will like it too. So when it pops up on my screen that she likes something from a retail business or something that she's out, or new restaurant that she tried, it gives me a reason to actually want to click on it, look at it as well. So again, just know that not all the data, not all the advertising opportunities when you're out there are going to be seen by every customer. So you want to make sure that the information content is something that's relevant, that they're going to want to click on and shop for. It's a quick, simple, easy message to get that customer to look at that ad and click through to either your website or back to your Facebook page. Again, you can hide in a lot of different ways. You can make comments about whether it's relevant, it shows up too often, or maybe it's inappropriate. More likely than not, it's not something that's inappropriate. It really comes down to something that's too often. I know for me, I love Macy's. Shop there all the time. I could go to their website almost daily. I love to see what's new, what's trending. I don't want to be left out. But when they start sending me and targeting me too much, it starts to become overwhelming. Then guess what? It is too often. I want to see it. I want to be current, but I don't need to see it 10 times a day. And so when you think about how you're advertising on Facebook or digitally, what's your strategy? Not only are we looking at your budget and how we're targeting, how often are you actually out in front of that customer to make sure that you are showing her what she needs to see, but not so much that she becomes bored or she knows she's going to see it again later that day. So again, the frequency and the content and information that's on there is absolutely important. The truth about Facebook. Alex Milstein wrote an article back in July of last year that I thought was fabulous. So I definitely encourage you to go online and look up a little bit more detail about the article. But there's a lot of hype about Facebook. And Facebook at the moment is not really a sales vehicle. Again, it's a social vehicle. It's a way for you to stay in front of your customer with events, specials, what's going on. You can have some fun with it. Maybe you've got a special and you've only got something left in the store and you want to really promote it. So it gives you a chance to be very current and on time with what you're doing. But a Facebook study found that users are turned off by content that pushes people to buy a product or an app, pushes people to enter into promotions, no real context, or reuses the exact content for ads because it's too promotional. So think again, everything comes down to the message. You don't want to always be offering a special or a deal because you don't need to. Sometimes it's the idea of everyday advertising. Again, you went to market, the new trends, the new colors, you're showing the consumer, come into our store and these are the beautiful things that you're going to see. You're getting the customer interested about the products. There's so many amazing photos out there from these manufacturers of room groups that actually accessorize and have beautiful photography that you can use on your website again, or Facebook. Again, it's not the idea that you're advertising it, you're promoting it to say these are the kinds of things that you get in our store. Or maybe you have on your Facebook page or a part of your store is the fact that you have a designer or someone that can help with the shopping experience. So you want to think about what that looks like and how you're advertising so that it's not overwhelming, it's not something the customer blocks, it's not something they move on and they're not interested in your store. So Ad Blocker Plus, we ran a quick Ad Blocker Plus on my computer just to see what it would look like. And in a 2-week period of time, based on Ad Blocker, we were actually able to block over 100,000 ads. Now, these are ads from a variety of different places. And so what it shows you is that there are a lot of ads out there. Every time we turn around that there's ads out there. Not every consumer blocks ads. As I mentioned earlier with my black belt in shopping, I want to know what the coupons or specials are. So I want to know what's going on. I absolutely will go out there if I get hit too much, will put on there that I'm not interested in seeing everything, but I also don't want to miss out. So Ad Blocker is just one of several different companies that actually can block ads. Ghostery's another one, and they actually will help block videos. So there are people out there saying enough is enough. When we think about digital, a lot of people think, oh, this is the only way you target millennials. And we're going to talk about traditional advertising a little bit later. It's not the only way to target millennials. So you want to think about where are millennials and why are we targeting them? Because keep in mind, their credit score is around 640. They're living at home until they're in their 30s. And so we want to think about how we're targeting, where we're targeting them, and what we're targeting them with. And so you want to think about that. But not everyone, again, is blocking. But I want to show these blocking mechanisms just so that you can actually see the different companies that are out there. And this screenshot actually shows you a lot of different companies that are available, a lot of apps, anything from, most of these are free. There's a few on here that are 99 cents. Some people get carried away and don't want any ads. So just be mindful of the fact that if your online strategy is digital only, you might not be in front of all the customers that you actually want to be in front of. All roads lead back to your website. Absolutely. I talk to retailers all day long about websites, and I have conversations with stores that have a website that maybe they don't remember their URL. I talk with retailers that haven't touched their website in years and they know it's outdated and they know the product on there is discontinued. I'll talk with retailers that'll say, yeah, my daughter's boyfriend, when he was in college, created the website and it's a place for people to get information, but I don't even know if it has our current hours on there because we're not open on Sunday anymore. This goes back to what I said in the very beginning. When you have a website, whatever you're doing, is it performing? So if you're sitting there now and asking yourself, does my website perform? Who made my website? Am I partnering with a company? Do I have someone in the store managing it? And it's okay how you have it set up and who you're working with. What you want to think about, though, is it performing? Are you reading the Google Analytics? Do you know how long people are staying on your website and what they're searching for? Do you know what they're actually clicking on and what pages they're going through? Are you using your website as a lead generator? If you're not, you absolutely should be. These are all questions that you should be asking yourself, but more importantly, asking your web provider or your IT person in your store about your website. Your website absolutely has to perform. The consumer today is going to the website before she goes anywhere else to get started on her shopping experience. And you have to think about the depth of the information that's on there so that you make her shopping experience interactive, fun, you're getting information from her, you're able to track and get details, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We've got a few big brother tools that are out there that can be a little bit overwhelming, but at the same time, the consumer today that's on a furniture website is on there for a reason. When I'm bored, I shop for shoes and jewelry and purses. I'm not out shopping up on a furniture website because I have nothing better to do. So you've got to be very clear within your categories and the information that's on your website so that the customer can actually shop. When we go to these furniture websites, that customer is looking for a bedroom, a dining room, a living room, maybe a sectional, maybe they're looking for a mattress. So how easy are these, these categories to shop, and what information are they getting when they get to those categories? Online furniture sales are rapidly approaching a quarter of the total market. Yes, furniture sells online. There's a reason Amazon, Wayfair, Hayneedle, these bigger companies, these e-retailers that are out there are selling online and really trying to figure out strategically how you get into the market. To think about this, back in the day, the customer, nope, she had to come in, she had to sit on it, she had to touch it. The number one selling furniture item on the internet is bar stools. And so you have to think about the categories and the shopping experience from the consumer on your website. So do you call out bar stools so that it's an easy category for her to find? Because the consumer's mindset is if I come into your furniture store, you might have a few bar stools with your bars or with the tables, your pub tables, but they're not expecting you to have hundreds of them. But on your website with the manufacturers that you work with, you can very easily have a category, maybe a marketing vehicle, a rotating banner or something on your website. It calls out the category to make that category very simple and easy for that customer to purchase. So we want to talk about that. Like, people are buying online. It's absolutely relevant. It's absolutely something that you want to think about when we talk about pricing out your website and having your website e-commerce, that it's absolutely critical. Amazon beats Google as a starting point for product searches. What does that mean? That means that back in the day, I know I get lazy. I will use Google because maybe I don't know the spelling of the store and I'm not sure how to find it, or maybe I'm just too lazy and I use Google just as a vehicle to get there. Now what's happening when I'm looking for a product, the consumer today is actually going on Amazon and they're shopping on Amazon. I'm looking for a new sofa. I want to get details about the sofa. And why do they start on Amazon? Well, they're starting on Amazon because there's a variety of products. There's a lot to look at. There's free shipping. They're looking at better deals, like what information is out there. Large volume of helpful customer reviews. Reviews are huge, and we're going to go into a little more detail about that in a couple slides. Great search capabilities, good mobile experience. So when I'm on Amazon, and if you think about yourself and your own shopping experience, the consumer today who's shopping on Amazon knows they can go there from everything from a new pair of jeans to a television to hairspray. Maybe it's cat litter, maybe it's paper towels. And how easy is Amazon making it? I can have Alexa sitting on my desk and just tell Alexa what I want to buy, that I need more paper towels. And guess what? They're on their way. So you've got to think about what's the shopping experience on your website. Customer gets to your site. Do you have these tools on there? Is it easy to shop? Is she able to get the information that she needs based on the category that she's shopping for? Is there enough depth within that category? There's kind of this old adage of, do you show everything? Do you not? With the idea of you have, if you work with all these amazing manufacturers and they have these beautiful photos that are available, how much product do you show? Obviously, the Amazons, the Wayfairs, the Hayneedle, all these big companies are showing everything. But just because the manufacturer manufactures it doesn't mean it's going to sell in your market. So you don't need to be everything to everybody. You really have to think about what is it you're showcasing on your website within these categories to really show the customer enough depth. True story. I was looking for a sectional in my market, and I live in Spokane. I went on a website for a retailer in my market and went to her website. She had 900 sectionals on her website. Now, although I like to look at and have options and I want to be able to kind of look through a lot of things, 900 sectionals was way too many. Not to mention the fact that they weren't in any particular order. There was no search mechanisms on there for me to allow to shop for. Maybe I was looking for something brown or a certain size or a certain price point. And so you want to, again, think about that shopping experience. I happen to be friends with the owner. I bought the product somewhere else. I brought the sectional. She came over to my house, saw it in my home, and said, I don't remember you buying that from me. And guess what? I didn't. We went right to her website, and that sectional was one of her top sellers, and it was in the 800 category on her website. Well, I didn't make it to 800 because I obviously bought it somewhere else. So what you want to think about is, just like you lead with your best foot forward on your floor at your store, that prime spot right when the customer walks in the front door and they see that beautiful living room vignette, you've got everything set up with all the accessories and the rugs and the lamps. You got to do the same thing on your website. You want to engage with the customer to show her that you understand trends, that you understand what she's looking for. Now, you may be a more promotional store, and as Jeff mentioned in the beginning, I work a lot in the rent-to-own industry. We work in appliance, electronics, flooring. Again, no one's saying be everything to everyone. Put your best foot forward with who you are as a business. If you're a mattress-only store, absolutely mattresses are, without a doubt, that's what you're going to show. But are you just going to show white boxes with dimensions, or are you going to tell a better night's sleep story? Are you going to show the customer that you understand how they need to sleep and what style, selection, price, value? What is it that you show so that you're telling your story on the site to give the customer a reason to want to buy from you over someone else? Because today you are being compared against other stores, not just the guy down the street. Now you're actually shopping against the customer, shopping against all these big e-tailers as well. And so you want to make sure that your story is yours. You tell your personalized story. Again, I love videos of the floor. I love photos of the store. I like to hear the family story, how long you've been around, what you do as a business. These manufacturers are amazing. Talk about the manufacturer. But again, if you're a higher end store, you want to think about what that look is so that the look and feel of your website mirrors the shopping experience if they were coming into the store. And same thing if you're more of a promotional store, which is fantastic. You're a promotional store, lowest prices in town. That's great. You want to tell that story, because I often work with stores that are a little bit more promotional that will say, I want a cleaner, nicer site, which is fine, but then it's a disconnect to the actual shopping experience. So you've got to think about what it is the customer's seeing, what they're getting, and what they're going to see, not only on their computer screen or their laptop, but what are they going to see as far as what we call a mobile or responsive website? Is your website responsive? It's a good question that you need to be asking your web provider. Is my website responsive? Because if it's not, you're not in compliance with Google. What that means is that when I'm on my phone or an iPad or a computer, the format of the screen of my website changes to reformat. So what you'll see in the top left-hand corner on a mobile phone is it almost looks like a hamburger, 3 little lines that are up in the top left, which is the menu bar. And it actually is just formatting the screen slightly different so that the shopping experience isn't where the consumer has to go in and blow everything up and make it bigger because it's so small you can't see anything. So it's critical to be asking your web provider, is my website responsive? Because you want to be in compliance with Google, because that actually hurts the search options when the customer's looking for you through Google organically. And what that means is that the customer, when they're searching you for organically in your market, there's 3 things that help you come up in the search: the longevity of your URL, the frequency in which people go to your URL, and the content and information on your website. Now they're actually looking at responsive, which is creeping up on 2 years ago is when they actually kind of rolled that out. And the next thing is, what's your interaction on Facebook? So they're trying to make sure that when the consumer is using their vehicle, Google, to try and find something, that your website is in compliance based on requirements to make that site and that shopping experience effective for the consumer. Prices. I get asked all the time, do you think I should put prices on my website? Absolutely. If you don't have prices on your website, what's the consumer doing? She's clicking a button and she's going somewhere else. She's not shopping. So think about yourself. So if you're not sure if you should put prices on there, think about the last time you shopped for a new golf club, or maybe a new pair of running shoes, or you were looking to see prices of a hotel, that you were going to take your family to a hotel and you wanted to know what the prices are at that hotel. If there wasn't a price on there, what do? You're going to click off that website and you're going to go somewhere else. You're not going to shop that store or that business. You're going to go somewhere else because the prices aren't there and you're not getting the information you need. I had one retailer once tell me, I don't want my prices on there. I want the customer to call me. Okay, that's great. So guess what? It's 10 o'clock at night. I just put the kids to bed and I now have a few minutes to sit down and actually shop and look for something. And guess what? Oh, here's a phone number. Do you think that was his cell number? No, that's the store number. And of course, no one at 10 o'clock at night is going to answer it. And so the idea of saying, I want the customer to call, I want to talk to them, they're not going to call. So you have to give them enough information on your website to give them a reason to want to actually take it further and make a purchase on your site, put it in some kind of a shopping cart or wish list, or then come in and make the purchase actually online, or come into the store and show you what they've already shopped for. So prices absolutely need to be on your website. You must have an awesome website that loads with everything, because it's critical to think about the information that's on there. So we talked about these 100,000 images that are on there. How quickly are they loading? What you don't want is to wear down the consumer and have the product take forever to load. So I've talked to retailers before that say, oh, I can tell my customer stays on my website 10 or 12 minutes. Well, that's probably because it's taken too long for the products to load. So you want to think about the categories, the depth of the categories, and you want to think about the content and information that's on there. So again, making that shopping experience easier. So if she's shopping for a blue sofa with nail head, great. Are you giving her options to compare other products on your site? Are you giving her the option to, once she clicks on it, that it shows recently viewed? Again, what's that shopping experience look like to get that customer to want to stay on your site, shop, make a purchase, or create a wish list and come into your store to make that purchase in the store? Let's talk a little bit about some digital marketing ideas that work. And I'm going to keep tying everything back to the website, because I think that's absolutely critical as a part of this whole advertising solution. There's a couple new programs out there right now, and we talk about targeting, and we're talking about, again, the power of simplicity. What are we doing with all these different elements? And there's so many things out there that I want to highlight. Again, we're going to talk about like what's important and then how you're doing it in your market, which is different from another market. There's something called a new mover category. So there's a program out there right now, lots of them. We included, have it available, where you can actually send a letter to or a direct mailer of some sort, or a postcard to welcome the customer to the neighborhood. And those usually target the customer within 20 or 30 days and sometimes 60 days, depending on how on top of the list you're on. We work with a company where we partner with them, what's called a digital new mover program. This actually targets the customer immediately based on their move. So we've got 3 categories of movers. We've got the pre-mover, I'm selling my house. Escrow, I've sold my house but haven't moved yet. And we've got the post-mover, I just moved in. So who are these people? These are people who are maybe moving into an apartment. So maybe they're first-time buyers and they're first-time apartment livers, and they need to get a new bedroom, or they need to get a new dining room table if they don't have one. Or maybe they're downsizing and they have a king-size bed and they need to get something, maybe they need to get a queen-size bed. Or better yet, they're moving into a new home and they've got more bedrooms than they had before, or they've got a rec room they didn't have and they need to get a sectional. So you want to think about how you're targeting these new movers. The idea of a new mover is that I move into the neighborhood. Guess what's the first thing you do when you move into your new house? You set up the internet. So once you set up the internet, we're able to capture that IP address to know that they're a new mover and they're just setting up their home. And we're able to target those customers with a welcome to the neighborhood, bring in this special offer coupon to bring that customer into your store because they're in the market to buy right now. So we want to get them while they're hot. They're excited about their new home, their new apartment, and they want to look at new products. So this is a great vehicle to be able to target that customer. So when we're targeting this customer, you're consistently in front of them. So within that 30 to 90 day period as to when they've moved in, this is when they're looking to make that purchase. What I like about this slide is the first one where it says $200,000 billion, that's billion with a B, is spent annually on new movers. And so what you want to think about is those customers are out spending money, whether it's buying a new picture or they need a new mirror for the wall. Maybe they need a lamp in the corner because they didn't, the lighting is different in their house. You want to be the solution to when they're going to make a purchase. And again, welcoming them to the neighborhood gives them a reason to want to come into your store. There's also a tool called reverse append. And this is where, talk a little bit about Big Brother. This is where a customer goes on your website and we're actually able to put a little tracker on your website. And so when the customer's out there and they're shopping, we can actually track who she is, what she's looking at, and then actually physically send her a direct mailer. So this next slide kind of brings it together a little bit more. First one is she searches on the internet for a product, finds your website, she starts shopping. She puts that product into her shopping cart and she abandons that cart for whatever reason. She's looking at the item. Now we're able to capture her IP address. We create a personalized direct mailer that we actually sent directly to her home, and that now gives her a reason to come into the store or coupon or special to go on your website and make a purchase. Yeah, it's a little Big Brother. Yeah, we're following her. But you know what? In today's day and age, we know that we are able to track customers. So you absolutely need to be tracking them and knowing what they're looking at. So again, we know the effectiveness of what the customer's shopping for, so we can target them specifically for what they need. There's also a tool called abandoned shopping cart, and I love this tool. I love this as a consumer. I like to go on Pier 1. I get a little carried away. We're creeping up on Easter. We've got St. Patrick's Day right around the corner. They keep me current. They make sure that my house is decorated. So when I go on there, sometimes I get a little carried away and put stuff in my shopping cart. And guess what? At the end of the day, I get busy. I'm on a lot of webinars throughout the day, and I've got a lot of websites open. I click close. Oh, I forgot that I was shopping. Pier 1 is amazing. They come back to me within 24 hours with a, hey, Erica, don't forget you were shopping for these new adorable new bunny Easter plates that you have to have. Guess what? They're right. I put them in there for a reason because I was interested. You need to have these types of tools on your website so that your customer you have a chance to go back and retarget that customer. So the customer puts it in the cart, you retarget them to remind them of the product within 24 hours, 48 hours later, and 72, you're actually showing them the product and giving them a reason to come back and make that purchase. So again, we have a lot of options with our digital marketing to go after these customers and remind them that they need to be coming back into the store, coming back to your website. There's also this new tool out there that I think is fantastic. It really acts as a silent salesperson. Customer goes to your website, you have a great interaction opportunity to work with the customer to get some information. Customer is a family of 4. They like to entertain. They do a lot of activities with friends and family. So they So you get information about the customer and who they are and what their lifestyle is. So it gives you a reason, or one of your salespeople a reason, to pick up the phone and call the customer to say, hey, we've got just the things that you need based on who you are, what you've told us. Set up an appointment, get everything all ready for this customer to actually come into the store and have an idea in mind as to items that you want to show her based on her lifestyle. So it's really a matter of being smart, interactive, and connected with the customer, because the idea of you wanting to know or caring enough about who I am as a customer, getting that information to help me make a decision about what size dining room table I need or how many people are going to be sitting at it, the shape of it, what I'm going to be doing and how I entertain. It makes my shopping experience easy because I've given you that information before even coming into the store. Few more ideas. When we think about the shopping experience, think about like free Wi-Fi. Yeah, okay, the customer could, if they wanted to, go on Wi-Fi and go on the internet and look at your competition, but they're in your store. And so if you think about back in the day, I'm sure there's several of you on this call that are saying to yourself, I remember when the customer came into the store and they said I was looking for a red sofa, and you went back to those catalogs and had to remember which manufacturer you worked with, and you pulled that catalog off the shelf and you shuffled through all those products and you figured out, oh yeah, here's that red sofa, and they're looking at a catalog. Now we have these widgets available not only from your website to be able to show the catalog and the depth, but you've got these in-store kiosks to allow the customer to shop. So think about what that experience is like for the customer when she comes in. And especially if, we talk about the experience that the customer has in the store, having the Wi-Fi allows her to look at that product on your website, get the depth, the measurements, what other items are also available. So it gives her a better shopping experience in the store. That's also the idea of meeting the showroom challenge head on, embracing the mobile use. What does the store experience look like? Are you offering expert service from your salespeople, or maybe the manufacturer's reps can come in and do a demo? Do you have a strategy for how you address price comparisons, or what you do as a business and who you are in comparison to your other retailers in your market? Do you have a 30-day low price guarantee? Again, these things are reinforced on your website in your store to make that shopping experience really easy for the customer. Geomarketing. This is something where you can actually go on multiple websites, and you personally can go out to places like Yahoo, Yelp, Facebook, Yellow Pages, Foursquare. We partner with about 55 different online local search options to help you to become power listed in these different areas when the customer is looking for you. Think about your own shopping experience, and when you're looking for something, do you go to Google? A lot of people go to Amazon. We pointed that out a little bit earlier. There are people that go to Foursquare. Start asking the question from your shoppers. Start asking the question from your spouses and the salespeople that work for you and your children. Like, how do you shop? Where do you get information? Because you want to make sure that you're relevant in all these locations. Again, you don't have to be everything to everyone, but if you have the opportunity to make sure your hours, your best-selling products, your ads or promotions that are going on are updated in all these different locations, really maximizing and improving on your SEO in your local market for visibility, geomarketing is a great way. Really what you want to think about with geomarketing is you're putting a fence around your store. And that fence could be 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, whatever it is. You're really trying to encompass the customers that are shopping for bedrooms, dining rooms, home entertainment, recliners, kids furniture. What is it that they're shopping for? So again, you really maximize on these sites so that you're trying to drive customers into your store. Back to the basics. And I'm just going to highlight a few of these things so we can get to questions here before the end of the call. What's really critical here is thinking about traditional advertising. Traditional advertising still works. It's absolutely still relevant and important for you to think about your customer and how you're targeting them with circulars, TV, radio, and every market is slightly different. And so it's really important to think about how you're targeting that customer. Again, we're targeting her to drive her back to the website or into your store. Maybe it's your Facebook page, a landing page based on a sweepstakes or a promotion that you're running. And so you want to really think about the idea of what's old is new again. There's a reason Home Depot, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, they're in your mailbox or newspaper every week because they need to be in front of the consumer. You just have to think about the frequency and consistency. And now the nice thing is when you send out a circular or you run a TV commercial, with the analytics from your website, you're actually able to track the number of customers that are actually coming to you based on those dates. So you still have more trackability than you did before. Millennials, they like print. We still want to target them. So we want to think about digitally, socially, and traditionally how we're targeting this customer with direct mailers, with coupons, with specials. Catalogs are fantastic. They seem to be really popular right now to give a little more depth about who you are as a business in a store. So it shows specifically on holidays how you're trying to target that customer with more product. Let's not forget about the baby boomer, though. The baby boomers got money, and so they buy 50% of everything. So we want to think about how we're targeting them and what you're doing to target them to bring them back into your store to shop. In the United States, 50 plus spend $3.2 trillion annually. Again, they're the ones with the money. They're the ones that are spending. So what are you doing to target that customer to drive her to your website to make a purchase and drive her into your store? There's a new term out there called the Renaissance. Yes, Renaissance. This is where men are actually taking the lead in some categories where they're actually outspending in specific categories. They're outspending women 13% of the time. What I like about our website program, and again, this is where you've got a lot of detail and analytics, is where you can actually track what's going on. This slide shows of a store I work with in downtown Chicago, and it shows that they have 33% of the customers that come to their website are men. Most of them are a younger audience, so it's thinking about how you're targeting and what you're doing. These guys do a great job in this downtown area, really focusing on smaller footprint, apartments, condominiums, and what the customer needs, but they've got a male customer that's on here. So you want to think about with these details and analytics, what the customer is actually shopping for and how you're targeting her. Again, omni-channel, print, digital media, you've really got to think about the strategy of what you're doing. Even Google acknowledges the path to purchase, what they call ZMOT, zero moment of truth. It requires an integrated approach to everything. We're offering the opportunity to help you. So at the end of the presentation, my phone number is going to pop up an email and you'll get my contact information. We want to help you. So we want to help you think about all these different things, face-to-face, web, blogs, outdoor, print. What are you doing with your advertising? We're willing to sit down and help you at no charge to overlook everything that you're doing to figure out the right strategy, because this can be absolutely overwhelming if you're not sure what to do. But if you're not doing anything, then guess what? Nothing's going to change. So you really have to think about all these different vehicles. And one kind of last highlight here, I want to talk about reviews. Reviews are absolutely critical, and I mentioned that with Amazon. So Amazon actually has on their website reviews of product and the companies that they sell from. Reviews are really important, and there's no reason why you can't actually buy the review from your customer. She comes in, she makes a purchase, she does it online, ask her for the review. Because if you ask, 9 times out of 10, she's going to give it to you. And maybe you give her a $5 gift card to Starbucks to give her a reason to actually go online. And what's funny, a couple weeks ago, I had a conversation with a retailer in Florida, and I told him how important I thought this was and how easy it is, and just to ask the customer and have these Starbucks gift cards. That very next day, I was at my local gym and worked out and was end of the workout, had been there for an hour, ready to leave, and there was a girl standing at the front door that had a bunch of protein bars. And she said to me, "Hey, have you ever tried our protein bars?" "No, I haven't." "Would you like one?" "Sure, I'll take one. That sounds great." She said, "Okay, will you give us a review?" And I kind of got a little smile on my face and said, "Yeah, you know what? I will absolutely give you a review." And what did I do? She said, "Do you have your phone?" "Yep," because of course you have your phone, because everyone has their phone with them all the time. Took my phone out. She went right to the page. So she knew exactly where to click. She clicked right on the Facebook page, pulled up the Facebook page, right to where I could actually click on the review and said, "Here you go, hand it to me." It took me all of about a minute to give them 5 stars because I like my gym, I like my personal trainer, wrote a few little things, showed it to her, clicked send. She gave me the protein bar. It works. I got the protein bar, they got the review. So think about it. You need to be asking your customers for those reviews because you want to maximize on what their experience was to get that more people, look-alike people like them that are going to want to come into your store. POP is important. Again, getting visual. What's that shopping experience look like both in the store and online? How are you maximizing on those rotating banners on your website and silent salespeople in your store as well to say this product comes in both a sectional and a sofa, or comes in a sofa sleeper. So with the signage, it actually allows you to showcase a bigger footprint of your store with the POP. Making the close. So at the end of the day, we know a lot of customers are on a budget. They need financing options. How easy are you making their finance experience? Do you have it on your website? Is there an application? Are you allowing the customer to fill out these applications right online and making it easy when they're in the store too? Nobody wants to be embarrassed that they can't afford something. So if you can get the application before they come in, they get the approval, now they know what they can spend. Again, let's get the close so we know that once they know how much money they can spend, they're actually going to come in and spend that money either on your site or in your store. In-store pickups, again, how are you local delivery? Is it free? Are you allowing the customer to come in? Think about grocery. They have made it so easy. Who wants to go to the grocery store anymore? You can actually send in your list. They fill out your list and you can go and pick it up, or even better yet, they actually deliver it right to your house. If you don't want to try and say it's impossible, then it is impossible. There is a lot of marketing out there, but really comes down to the power of simplicity and knowing and understanding what the different options are and how you're integrating them into your store so that you really focus on what your needs are and making it more simplified for you and the shopping experience for the customer. It really comes down to thinking about the companies that you partner with that are innovative, creative, starting the conversation, and what are the incentives and what are you getting to make this process simple and easy. I really appreciate your time. So we want to open it up, Jeff, to see if we have any questions. I apologize for taking this almost up to the wire, but we got about 8 to 10 minutes for questions. So Jeff, do we have any questions?
We do, Erica. Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to the Q&A portion. If anybody has any last-minute questions, I encourage you to submit them through the portal now, and we will get to those. So, Erica, first question. What is a good strategy if you don't have a budget for advertising or marketing?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So if you don't have a budget, what you want to think about, there are a lot of free vehicles out there. There's a lot of free services. You can actually go out and create a website there's several different companies that allow you to do it for free, which really act more as a place for your phone number, your address, and general information. Facebook is free. Instagram is free. So there's places as a business that you can go out and set up a page to create a place to start. What you want to think about is if you don't have a budget, why don't you have a budget? Why isn't it a priority? So if you look at some of these free services, you want to think about, okay, let's say you start with Facebook. You start to get people to like you. You start telling customers in your store to go there, and you start to see the traffic and the results. That's where you're going to say to yourself, it's working. We need to start spending more money. 10, 15 years ago, the idea was 10% of your overall sales should be spent on advertising. That's not even remotely realistic anymore. Without a doubt, it should be at least 3 to 5% of your overall sales should be spent back on advertising. Think about your staff. So again, without having a big budget or a smaller budget or no budget, you've probably got someone in your store that's young, that's familiar with Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, and is able to help you with some of these things. And again, the idea back in the day, you had to hire a TV crew, and they came in and they would actually have to do a video of your whole store. Now you can do some of these things at your fingertips that are not that expensive. So the tools are out there, and then think about the agencies and the companies. The Home Furnishings Association does a great job of partnering with companies like Imagine Advertising and others that are out there, and start asking questions about, how do you set up a budget and how would you start advertising?
Okay, thank you. Looks like we have a question that's going back to some of the social media stuff. With keeping content current through social media posts, it takes a lot of time that I don't have. What are your thoughts on some of the auto posting software like Hootsuite to manage that for me?
Okay, that's a great question. So what that really comes down to, you're right, it's hard to be out there and be relevant and current all the time. And there are companies that actually do posting for you, so you can actually pay. We do the same thing. We partner with a lot of retailers to help them with their posting. There are companies like Hootsuite that you can actually go out. What you want to think about is what's the content, or when you hire a company to do it, what is the information they're putting on there? What you don't want is that it's not relevant. So even though you're out there more often, you're not out there with something that's interesting enough to get the customer to want to click on that post or get engaged with that post to actually take it to the next step. Same with hiring an ad agency. This is where this might be an opportunity to talk to some of the people on your floor. You might have a salesperson that really likes Facebook and can be your advocate for Facebook and be online. I don't think you need to post every day, without a doubt. I think we have a couple different packages. One is as little as 1 a week to up to five a week. I think 5's too many. I like the idea of being in front of the customer enough to say, here's what's going on. So if you can manage your time, and what's great with Facebook is they also have tools where you can actually set them up where they actually post on a specific time as well, or on a schedule. So that allows you to say, you know what, I know I'm going to be busy next week, so I'm going to create my 4 posts that are going to go out once a week, and I'm going to put the date and time on there so that you actually plan ahead. That's a great question.
Okay, well, it looks like the last question kind of ties into that. What is the proper mix of evergreen versus one-off content, because content moves off the page so quickly?
That's a good question. So it really comes down to, when you think about the content and information of what you're putting on your website, is what's going to get the customer interested in who you are. The customer's not necessarily going to read everything about who you are and what you're doing. Because like on Facebook as an example, as it moves through so quickly, what's going to get them interested? Photos are great. They've got what's called a carousel. So you can actually put on there 3 or 4 images to showcase products. So that's where you want to think about. Are these photos from your store, or these photos from the manufacturer that might be a little bit more specific and have a better photo, better picture that's available? So it really comes down to, if I post today and I don't post again for another week or another 2 weeks, then is the customer going to see it? That's where you have to think about how many people are actually clicking on it. How are you advertising so that you're boosting those posts so that you're targeting a specific customer to come back to your page, or come back to your Facebook page, or come out to your website. So yeah, it's really a hard mix, and it's an interesting position I'm in, being in this industry and being in a marketing role where it's ever changing. Something new is coming up all the time. And so it's, how do you stay current? How do you stay relevant? And then how do you, as you talk about budgets, how do you not get carried away? So some of it's just kind of trial and error too. We got to figure out what works. I always start people out to think about, even when it comes to a website, you don't have to be so grandiose and go out there with absolutely everything to start. Think about realistically what you could do to start to get your word of mouth, what's out there, what's going on with your store, who you are as a business, and start driving people back to that website. And then when you start to see that something's working, then it's kind of exciting. It's like, oh, this did work. Great. Now I want to get more customers to come to my site. Now I'm willing to spend a little bit more money on maybe a digital display, a new mover program. Maybe I'm going to hire someone that's actually going to manage my Facebook or manage Instagram. So then you start to, when you see it working, it's a great opportunity to start to add more money or a bigger budget to it.
Okay, and it looks like that is the last of the questions. So first off, thank you, Erica, for such great information over the last hour, and thank you to everybody that attended today. Mark your calendars for the next webinar presentation, which will be on Wednesday, March 14th. Effectively using tablets on the sales floor will be the topic. To read the description and to register for this webinar, you can visit our website at myhfa.org/webinars. And as a reminder, the entire webinar, including the question and answer portion, has been recorded and will be available to watch on demand by this time tomorrow. Everybody that registered will receive an email from the Home Furnishings Association that gives you your details on your access code and how to get to the recording. If you have any questions for your association, you can reach us at 800-422-3778 or through our website at myhfa.org. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.